Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. This is our regular daily webinar. Every day we do this. Every Monday we post this webinar out on YouTube. So for YouTube viewers, if you're watching it for the first time, this is my daily analysis. It's based on wave analysis, which means it's a method we use looking at wave setups on the charts, which means there's specific waves that exist, and we try to forecast how these waves are going to behave in the future. Now, if you're looking at it at the lower time frame, 1 hour, 15 minutes, the possibility for a pattern to complete itself within a short period of time and create another bigger pattern exists. So most of the analysis that I give you here will be short-lived, because by tomorrow morning, we will relook at these charts again. If there is a bigger direction, a 4-hour direction, a daily direction, then that will continue to happen. So if you don't understand the wave analysis, go look at some more of my videos. That might help you. There are some educational videos there on what is wave analysis. That might help you. If you like it and you're one of the people watching these videos, you'll find it beneficial, which means it's been helping you in your trading. Share it to another trader. Help somebody else see it. Maybe it will help them too, right? Let's go. If you want to learn this stuff, then you can write me a message on. You can either do it on Facebook or you can do it on Skype. Better to do it on Skype, and you will get a reply of how you can get to learn this stuff. So let's go. Dollar index. We start with the dollar index, and dollar index is in a big sideways move. So let's start with the daily here. If you watch all my webinars, I'll start this one with the daily, showing you that we're actually going sideways, which means we have a move up, a move down, and a move up. The most likely scenario is that this one is going to go up here a little bit this week, maybe sometime this week, and we might even start to move downwards. The same forecast we had last week is the same forecast we have today. That has not changed because the bigger structure has not changed. In the 4-hour, we're still going up and we still have divergence, which means at some point in time, this stops and drops. Now, in one rare scenario, this is a running flat where they go up, but they will still come back down, because this is not all the correction. So there's a likelihood that this is a 1, 2, 3, and we're going to get a down move maybe this week. Let's go to the 1 hour. The trade for today should be a buy setup. It is likely that this will go back and retest the top. Last week, if you were in here, I said they will go break the tops a number of times. They did, and then they dropped. So this looks like an impulse to the upside. It looks like we're making a bigger correction at the moment. I think this should probably come down some more, go back up, come down again, make a new high, give you a flat here, make a new high. And then at that point, two things could happen somewhere in here. We would either drop. That means we get a sell set up here, we'll sell it. Or we're going to break out of this structure, make a flag, and go higher. What happens at that point? Well, if it goes higher, it's going to go to break this top, and then it's still downside. The structure will still go down. So the question is, how high would this move go when we buy it? And we're looking for a buy setup. This is an incomplete pattern. So it's not the first move up that will go. They will likely come back down and then go. We have an entry order here, but we'll have to manage that trade if we get tagged in a running flat before they start to come down. Go back up, you have to exit the trade. Silver is still consolidating. The 4-hour structure is showing us that there's a chance for one more down, which means you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are corrective structures. So that might end this wave down with divergence somewhere here, and then we're likely going to go up. The bigger structure looks upside. So what are we doing here right now? Right now, we have a sell setup under here, but I don't think this is where they're going to come down from. This is going to probably make some consolidation here, go up higher. We're going to move that entry order higher if that happens. And at some point, this is either going to come back here and go, or it's going to come break this low and go. This is a sell setup, so I think we'll come break the low, come a bit lower, and then go back up. If you're going to take this sell setup, you have to have a skill level to get out of the trade if it's not going, which means if we just tip this low, if it just does something like this, come here, break the low, this low, and start to reverse, you have to get out of the trade. The chances are they could go a bit lower and then go back up. So we're looking for a sell setup. I still think this will consolidate a while. We'll track it. We'll see if there's any change in that consolidation, whether we're still going to have this entry order here. As of now, that entry order is a valid entry order for the downside. Can this pattern become something more complex? Of course. So let me explain that to you so that you will understand a little about wave analysis. As it stands right now, if this does this, go there and drop, that's a sell setup. If it crawls up way back to the top here, break the top, then come down, it will still come down, but then come down, it's not a sell setup. Because once it breaks the top and come back, we're going to make a new high. And now we look for a sell setup. So this sell setup that I'm giving you here now is valid for the next couple hours. Then if we break this top, that changes. It is still going to come down, but we will not sell it. We look for a buy setup when it comes down. Because the pattern that we are looking at now will change if we break that top. The downside move here, that doesn't change. It just changed the corrective structure within this. And that makes, if you don't understand wave analysis and you don't understand these patterns and you don't know how they develop, that freaks people out. Especially when I said, hey, we're looking for a sell. And if I stop at that point and you are looking at this and then you see it come to the top here and then you see it come back here and it go up, you're like, well, oh, he's got it wrong. He said it's a sell. And you're right, because you have no idea what I'm talking about. And you do not understand wave analysis. Whereas in our trading room, we would likely sell this and we would likely buy that and then we will sell it again. So those are 3 trades we can make this week that you're not going to get because you're not here and you don't understand that. If it breaks the top, it makes a running flat. You make 1, 2, 3, and then this still comes down. So by the end of the week, I'll be correct about this down move. But by the start of the week, I could be wrong, which means it's going to go up here first and then come down. And it's not about being wrong or right. Wave analysis does not work like that. We're not trying to convince you we're right or wrong. We're making forecasts and patterns that exist. And we're deciding what this pattern is likely going to do. It's called forecasting. Just so you know, we don't tell you hindsight, hey, look, we made a wonderful trade last week. We're forecasting what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do today. If this drops, we're in the trade. If it comes back here and it goes there, we'll move this entry order up and we'll be in the trade. If it breaks the top, we will take off the entry order. We'll allow it to come back. Maybe if we think it's a buy sell setup, we'll take it. If not, we'll allow it to come back and then we will buy it. And we'll look for the sell setup again. It's about understanding what the pattern is at the moment and how can you take advantage of that. What is the next impulse in that move? Can you actually trade it? And if it is tradable with good risk to reward and you have the setups you need to trade, we take the trades. That's it. So don't look at what I show you right now and assuming that it is going to fall right now. It's complex, but it's not complicated. It's not that impossible to do. You just have to know all the patterns and follow them. Gold. Gold, on the other hand, can make a running flat. I could see this going up a little. We'll probably look at this as a possible running flat, and then we'll look for a sell setup. After which we'll probably get a buy as well. So no trade set up on this at the moment. We'll have to wait for it to happen, and then we'll get a trade set up. Euro, we're definitely looking for a buy. Last week, we were looking for a buy, and we're looking for a buy this week because it's not going anywhere. It's just going up and down and up and down, and it's going in that squeeze. I think we're going to retest the low, and then we're looking for a buy. So come to the 4 hour. I think just like the dollar index, this one is going to come down a little more here. And then we're looking for a trade back to the top. Now, sometimes what would happen is that it's going to break out. It would come here. It will break out like this and then make a new low before they go. Now, if you, again, coming back to wave analysis, so if we see that, we'll pretty much assume that that is a big running flat. It comes back here, we will be in the sell. And definitely from somewhere here, we're looking for a buy back to the top there. Pretty simple. It's all about what is the pattern you see right now, and is that pattern still valid or is it changing? If you're doing forecasting, you have to understand all the patterns so you can know what are the possible patterns you're getting in the future. Now, if you go back and you look at all of this that I did, they look amazing, right? All of them, you would look at, I can draw all the patterns that I see here and it will be perfect. The problem is when you're doing the forecasting, sometimes the one you think you're seeing right now, it changes and it becomes something more complex or more more structured in the way that it's not exactly the one you saw. You think it's a simple flat, it becomes a complex flat. You think it's a contracting flat, it becomes a running flat. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean you can't see it. You will just have to wait for more information to see that pattern. So right now, I think we're going to break the low. And if it breaks the low and give us a buy setup, we're definitely buying. When it gets to about this level, we will be cautioned of whether it's a running flat or whether it continues to go. By then, we will have a lot of flags and corrections proving the upside, or we'll have a reversal and a flag proving the downside, and then it's a buy. This big move will still happen. Either this week or next week, it's still going to happen. So that means we will be buying towards the upside for that one. Pound. We already have a buy setup. Now, is that buy setup making a running flat? Is this going to be a running flat? When this breaks the top, is it going to just break the top and drop? Or is it going to break the top and come to this one? If you're forecasting and you're looking at this pattern, both of those scenarios are possible. And that is the advantage of wave analysis, that you have this basic knowledge of the possibility. That's all life is about. Life is about knowing your possibilities, and then you work towards one of them, or towards both of them, or towards all of them, depends how much possibilities you have. And then you decide which one is the best one, which one is actually working out, right? You want to go to 6 universities, you study hard, you might get access to all 6, then you choose one. The one that best suits what you want. It's the same thing. We are looking for a buy setup here with the expectation that it might just break the top and drop again, and then maybe go back up or continue to go. But it can also go back up here. So when we get in the buy, we will move our stops, we'll move the trade into positive, and we will watch for changes in structure. Is it turning to the downside, or is it just correcting and keep going up? If it makes small corrections and keep going up, we stay with the trade. If it makes an impulse and a correction to the downside, we close the trade, and we either get in the sell or wait for a bigger correction, we enter the buy. Now, if you haven't studied wave analysis, or you don't know anything about wave analysis, that just confused the heck out of you. If you're a wave analysis trader and you understand what I do, you pretty much follow everything I just said. It's crystal clear, everything I just said. So if you watch this video and what I just said is not clear to you, you have to learn wave analysis. So come back to the 1 hour, we're looking for a buy setup, but it's not an immediate buy setup, which means this, we bought this, by the way. We bought that, by the way. This is gonna come here. You can get into this buy, but you have to be aware that it could come back here and then go, making a bigger flat there. This is the most likely scenario because we've seen that happen most often than where we've seen the scenario of this just taking off to the upside. When it comes here, remember, it could go back down or it could continue to go. So we would watch how this develops and decide whether it's continuing to go or whether it's turning. The worst case scenario is we'll get break even out of a trade like that. So if you're gonna buy it right now, you have to be aware that it might just come here and make a running flat. Sorry, go there and make a running flat and then go. If you have the ability to manage that trade, you can take it. If not, wait for the complete flat and then buy. Aussie, we have a buy setup. This will take a while too because I believe it's going to come back up here, make a running flat here, drop there, and then go back up. This is the impulse. So the bigger picture is a buy, and we have an entry order for a buy there, which we will manage. If it tags us and pull back down, we'll manage that trade. But very likely you're going to get a buy setup on the Aussie. New Zealand, this one is a little complex pattern for you. When they start to do this, 2 things you're looking for. A channel that will break down and then go back up, or a running flat that is going to take off. Wait for the setup. We don't have any setup to buy or sell. We'll wait for it. Swiss is in a big sideways move. I can actually show you this. We're literally going down. We're going back up slowly. So we'll probably come back here and then go. This is the big one. So we'll have to go back up. This will probably do this for a while and then come down. Best thing not to trade it. If you don't have the skill level to trade it, better to stay away from it. CAD, we're making a big flat and we're going up. We're literally still going up in the CAD. It means that this correction here could work itself up some more, could become more complex to the upside. Then we're going to get one more here and then there. I'm expecting them to do this. See that upside there, or that big one go, then it dropped, and then we go up. 1, 2, 3, then we go up. So this is the 1, we're waiting for the 2, we'll sell the 3, and then we'll go. Can it drop from this level here? I think that's rare, unless we're totally gonna retest the low. If we're going to retest the low, then this one is not gonna get big, it will drop like that. I don't think they're gonna do that, so we're expecting this to correct more up, which means I'm expecting something like this, and I'm expecting something like this, and more up like that, probably. Much more up like that. We'll consider the buy. Not the best buy, we'll consider the buying inside of a correction, but we'll definitely go for the sell whenever we get the sell. And this is just a big flat for upside. Yen, we're already going up, so we have a buy order there. I think we've completed the running flat. Remember, I told you it's going to come down back for one like this. We had it like this last week, which means we thought they're going to be equal. They don't have to be equal. It doesn't have to be equal. See that? It doesn't have to be equal. They didn't come to this level. But once we saw them stop at this level and start to go back up, we start buying because we assumed that this could be the end. That means we're going to buy it. So where did the first buy come? Let's go through and look at it. What happens last week in our group? You could see that the first buy was possibly in here if you took it. Some of my traders took it. We closed it at the top here. And the reason you close that buy at the top here is because when you take this buy, you're assuming it's going to break out. If it stops at the top of the structure and starts to consolidate, they can make a new low or they can break out. So only when it makes a consolidation like that and break out, that's when you get into your next buy. When they break out of this consolidation here, you can buy. We bought this one as well. And now we're going to buy this one. Now, if it keeps making these big flats here with single small impulse and big flat, what you're going to have is this impulse with a little correction, another big flat, and it will continue to go. The reason you want to buy this is because it could be a very big move to the upside. This was the impulse we're coming out of. We're coming out of an impulse like this. This is a big correction. We can make a very big impulse. Minimum you expect this impulse to do is break that top. The possibilities will go break this top. And the third possibility is we can go all the way to that 270 before we come down. We're completing another bigger flat. 1, 2, 3, and then downside. So this flat in here is a good one. That buy is a good one. You can go and that can continue to go for the entire week. Let's see. If that running flat proves to be just a simple running flat we're looking at, if it doesn't become more complex of a correction, then the buy is a good idea. So we're looking for that buy. We already have an entry order in that sensation session this morning. We had an Asian session in the room this morning, and we already have an entry order for that. So those of you guys who are joining now who weren't in the Asian session, we have a buy set up there. Euro yen, all the yen pairs are still in consolidation. So here's what you're going to be careful, right? Can they go back and retest the top of these moves? It's possible that we can retest these tops before we get the big down move. We're going to get a big down move on the yen. We don't know whether it started or whether it's going to go. Now, the problem is always with this pattern, whether it's complete itself and whether we're going to have more downside into it. So let's assume for now that we're going to have at least one more downside. This one dropped, it pulled back very deep. They're coming down right now, and there's a chance that this becomes a flat for one more up there. So we'd look for a buy setup here first, and then we would see whether it stopped there to come back to retest the low, or if that continues. If that continues to go, we'll go back with this contracting flat we had here originally. If not, we'll wait for the turn here, get the thing, and we'll turn. So if we see as the setups develop, we'll see that, we'll go with it. Right now, I don't think you want to go with this buy. If you take this buy, you'll have to be cautious because we haven't had a sharp move down. It's going to do this, come back here, and then go. The only reason you might want to take this is if it becomes a running flat. Come here and then go. See? So if you don't understand running flats and how you're going to manage them, don't put that entry order in this yet. It's way too early for you. Swiss, wait for it to come down. We can even go with the sell. They all went back. Last week, we thought that was it, and they're going to drop. And they came up back high. So they're going to come here, make a new high, and then come down. So there were two yen pairs last week in our trading room that we assume complete the pattern and can drop. That is this one and the euro yen. Well, it shows that they haven't both completed the pattern as yet, which means they're still upside in this. So let's look at this back again. This is the sharpest wave now. and we're still consolidating. So the likelihood is this still is going to go down. What if this was the contracting flat? And this was the end of the structure, and we're actually going back for a new high. It is pretty unlikely, but it's possible because we broke the low, right? So for traders, we have divergence and we broke the low. Once you break this low, you can assume that that is the last impulse down. Now, because there is a pattern whereby you can break that low, go back up and still come down as a running flat, we will have to be open to that possibility that this is still a flat, and that means this is an A wave, this is a B wave that came down here, broke the low, go back up there, and then it's going to drop. So there's a likelihood that we're going to have one more impulse up here, and then we're going to totally drop, or we're going to continue to go up. So let's look at this from the 1 hour point of view. We're making a flat, which is strange because the first impulse up did not have a big flat, but in the third wave, in the third impulse, the second impulse, sometimes you get a three-wave structure. So we're going to assume that this is making a three-wave structure. Now, in very rare case, this could totally drop. We didn't break the top. So 3 scenarios you're looking at here. The first one is that this could totally drop, which means we're selling it. We all have that entry order to sell. If it totally drops without breaking that top, that's a good one. If they do break the top, we have a problem, because if they break the top and they come here, they're absolutely going to go back up, and we will take that buy. We might even try to buy it lower. So we will be in the buy. If they don't break the top, we will sell it, but we'll be cautioned that if they come here, it can still go back, make a new high, and then it will either go down or it will continue to go up. See? Now, these are things you know. So if you know that, how do you trade it? Comes here, we'll be in the sell, it turns and it go back up, we'll exit the sell for break even, we look for a flag here, we'll buy it, it comes to this level, we'll move our stops. If they make a correction in the flag, we'll close the trade, we'll look for the sell. If they just make a little flag and continue to go, we stay with the trade, moving the stops and trade it back to the top. See? That's it. That's how complicated it can be. Right? That's how the complex pattern is. And that's how understanding each stage of the pattern will help you manage what you're doing. Pretty easy. It's not that difficult. So for my traders, we're looking for the sell now, and then we'll manage that trade as we go along. By the way, those of you in the trading room, you might want to join the Zoom link, because we'll stay on for the webinar, after the webinar, to put on these trades. So this is the sell setup. CAD Yen, remember last week, only 2 of them had the complete pattern for sell sub. That was the Euro Yen and the Swiss Yen. All the other ones we knew were going to make a new high because we had a flat. We had a flat on all of them. So this did make a new high, but it didn't go. So it's making another flat, which means we're getting a new high. And then they can make another flat and a new high. And eventually, if we get this, we're dropping. Now, could this be that they're trying to go break the top again for another big one? Is it possible that this could go back and break this top? Well, if we go with this, let's take this off. If we go with this one originally, which we had, which is a contracting flat, and this makes some kind of a running flat here with those series of flats in it, come here and go, then yes, we can retest the top. But if this drops to the bottom, which means if those flats at any one time drop out of that structure to the downside, we'll definitely be selling it. So we'll go with this for now, assuming that they will make a new high and drop. Right, we'll keep it that way, and then we'll change this. We'll change it if we see that there's a structural change in it. Right now, there's an up move. We're not buying it. We didn't buy this, then we shouldn't buy this. Right, that is likely going to go back up there. It's not giving us any sign that they're totally making a big move to the impulse. But if we get any sell setup after they break the top, we're definitely selling. The sell is a must. The buy is not a sale. This is not an impulse up to the upside. Same with the Pound Yen. See the top? Broke the top. I think we would assume that either we're getting a new high here and they'll come back, or some kind of a running flat. Now, remember, this completed the pattern. The pattern in this one, we consider that pattern complete. So the question is this a 1, 2, 3 for upside, new top, and then we go down? Or is this just trying to finish off what it doesn't go down? So let's go back to the 1 hour. 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a sip of water. So let's go. This is still correcting. This one is going to go. We can actually put a buy in this one. We bought this last week and we close it. You can put this buy here again because remember, this has a complete pattern. So if this is going to go up, the buy is a good idea. We'll work or we'll close it for break even if it doesn't go, just like we closed this one for break even. But it could also be that this is making some kind of a long run or running flat here, maybe including this one as well. And we go up totally. So the buy is not a bad idea because we have this complete pattern already behind us. This buy is a good idea. Now it might be just a break even, which means it just go break the top and start a turn. We'll have to get rid of the trade. And I think we understand that. We'll know how to manage it. It's not going. You have all the criteria of when it doesn't go, how you get out of the trade. We have rules for that. You follow those rules and we'll get rid of the trade and then we'll see. But if it takes off like a rocket, you better be in it. So this is a buy. This was a buy. This is a buy. Let's go. This was a buy. We bought this also. That's a break-even trade. So we're going for this one now. Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen is the only one that doesn't have a flat pattern for the upside. It actually has an impulse, a flag. They drop. If they make another flag, we sell. If all of this together becomes a running flat, we'll get a buy, but we don't have a buy setup. So we can't put anything. But if it makes a flag, we're absolutely selling it. New Zealand Yen, pretty much the same thing. It's more of one upside, right? They have a flat here, so that could still go back, make a new high. I'm not sure we want to buy this as yet because we're still in the downtrend. So we'll probably stay away from this and we don't have a complete pattern. I remember last week we looked at it, we don't have a complete pattern. So let this do what it's doing for a while and then we'll look back at it and see whether if they will stop here and drop or they're going to continue to go up. Aussie CAD. We broke the low, which is what we wanted to do. You want that pattern to come and break the low. We broke the low all over, which means we're totally making a new low in this down move. That's a new low. We do have some divergence. So at this point, you'd have to decide, are we going to continue that downtrend or is it going to go back up from here? So on the 1 hour, we kind of have a little divergence internally, but on the big picture, we do have this divergence here, right? Which is between this last one and this one. So the question is whether all of this is some kind of a big correction or it's separate. I think for today, we'll watch this pattern, see what it's doing. We didn't break the top, so we'll have to go back up for one more impulse. That is this one. At some point, depending on how low it comes, it's going to go back up and drop. Or if they go from here, we can totally go up. So the lower it comes, the more the possibilities we'll be looking for a sell setup. As of now, we can look for a buy setup. We'll still have a buy, but if it comes to a running flat, we'll not buy it. New Zealand CAD, more like a sell setup. This one is already confirming the sell. It's probably could consolidate here a while more, but this is a sell setup, so we'll sell it. Definitely looking for a sell on this. CAD Swiss, buy setup. If you bought this last week, we take the break even. And remember, we said that last week. You're going to take the break even because of that sharp move. It's going to be a running flat. Turns out we're getting it at. We have 1, 2, 3. We got this sharp move done. So they're probably coming down here. And then we still have this, right? So you get a sharp move down. You still get a move up. You get a move down. And then you get a big flat here for upside. So now we move this entry order, which is break even, and put it on top here. And we allow this pattern. This is a big pattern. We allow it to finish, become what it is. It might be even more complex than that. When this pattern is finished, we'd look for a buy setup. We'd either get it from the bottom here or from the breakout. This is an impulse. This is a correction. This will go up. So the more complex it becomes, the easier it is for us. The upside is pretty clear. See, we're going up for something like this, or maybe even bigger than that. We'll see when we get there. We're looking for a buy setup eventually. Euros. Okay, we're at the very top of this whole big corrective structure. And the only question is it going to go higher? And it can go higher, right? They can make one more impulse at least because we don't have divergence in this last piece going up. So the chances are we can go up once more. Or we're coming down right now. Right? Can it go one more up like that? From this point, yeah, they can go one more. Can it come down back? Yes, absolutely. We don't have a sell setup as yet. If this is going to come in back, you have to drop here, you have to go back up, and then we have a sell setup. That's your sell setup. If it's going up, we don't have a buy setup. We have to wait for a flag, and then we buy. So if you get a flag, you buy. If you get a flat, you sell. Right now, I think we're going for the flat. So this could come down some more, but it will have to go back up before we get the sell setup. Euro New Zealand. This was a sell, that's a break even, which means this one didn't go where we expected to go, and they're consolidating more. That's still a sell setup, sorry. This is still a sell setup, but now the sell setup is not the great. It's not looking so nice because we're in a big sideways move. See, that sell setups put us in this big sideways move, and it's not, the risk to reward in it is not good. So I think we allow this sell to come and drop to this level. Look for one more move up like this. And then we look for a sell setup. So could it be a buy setup for us eventually? I think that's what we'll do. We'll wait for it to come down, and then we'll look for the buy setup, right? Rather than selling this, which doesn't have any risk to reward in it. Let it drop. What the hell is wrong with my charts? Sorry, guys, the chart is just going crazy in this. So we let it drop, and then we look for buy setups. You're okay. I think it's pretty clear. You don't even have to do anything in this one. Right, so we're looking for the sell, we come back to the low, and then we're looking for the buy. I think this one is well structured. You can see it already. We'll look for this. We're expecting the possibility is it's going to make a running flat, which means this is going to come to this level, make a flat in here. There's a chance you go back up for that, and then you come lower. So the first trade should be a sell. Let's go for the sell. Might be a little more complex than we think, but go for the sell under the low here. It could be a little more complex pattern. You just have to manage it, right? Swiss, Euro Swiss. We're going to get a flat, but it's going to be downside, which means I don't think this would be the start of the upside. We're expecting a very big upside from this one, right? So let me just bring it and show you. We're expecting that this pattern eventually goes up. And normally that's what it does. But it can go down a lot more before you go up. But the most immediate move to expect is one to the top here again. Right, like this. See this flat here? They went up. So either this thing goes like that, or it goes like this, come back down again. We're expecting the up move, and we're getting a flat for that. So I think if we get a buy setup, we can go with it. Right now, we don't have a buy setup. As a matter of fact, right now, we have a flat looking pattern here. This is starting to look like a flat that is going to come back here and then go. If we break the low, we're not going to go much higher because that would be a running flat. But an up move is very likely. So we'll take this out. That was a flag last week. It's not a flag anymore. What's happening to my chart? It keeps closing by itself, expanding. Okay, sorry about that. So let's see. Let it come down here. Let it go back up. Give us a buy setup. Then we'll take a trade. We're looking for the buy first, which is an impulse to the upside, and then the sell. Europound. We're looking for this to come back, break the low too, and then we look for the buy setup. See? Now, two ways you look at this. We're either still in the consolidation. This is still the consolidation happening to this level. And then we will have a new high, which would come down. Or it's a contracting flat. Now, contracting flats are rare. So if you, let me just take this off. It's either a contracting flat 1, 2, 3, and this one will totally drop, which means we're going to go much lower than that. So I'll put this back because those two options exist. This is either a running flat still in the making, this piece. I think we're running flat and a bigger running flat in the structure because we're breaking this low, which means we're going to just come down to about this level and go back up. So we will take this trade, and when it breaks this low, we'll put it in the positive. Either they reverse and we buy to the top, or they continue to drop and we stay with that trend. But this is a must sell, right? It doesn't matter how much they consolidate here, we're definitely selling this. I think we're going to have a running flat. I think already you can see that this will be a running flat. You kind of get a sharp one, you get a sharp one, you get this, you come back here, you go back there, and then we drop. So if you get tagged in this trade here, you have to be aware that it can do this and then come down. Now we will sell it higher. We're not, this was last week's sell entry order. I will take it out from that point. First, we'll put it to this level. And then we will raise it higher if we get a setup higher. Remember, this is a running flat forming, but we will take the trade and then we'll manage it, right? Because if it is not a running flat, which means if this was a sharp correction of its own, it's going to drop. Punkad. Okay, if you bought that, you got break even. Put an entry order higher, wait for this correction to finish. It's a more complex one. And then we'll go with the buy. So it's just making a complex flat there, and then it's a buy setup. We'll get the buy setup, and then we'll see where that takes us. What's the biggest structure? Well, the biggest structure is that this could be a buy here, come back down here, and then they either go up like that, or we come back, retest the low, and then take off. I don't see the argument for the retesting of the low, because we haven't completed this one. We have to go complete this one up. So retesting the low only makes this piece a bigger flat, which we don't need a bigger flat there unless we're making a very, very complex pattern. Literally, if we get one more of this bigger 1, 2, 3 in here like this, 1, 2, 3, then the whole pattern becomes much bigger than we thought. Probably for the next year or so, we'll be consolidating in that range. I don't expect that to happen. So what I expect could happen, and we've seen this in a number of them, like this flat, see this flat in here, and they still go up, is that they make a flat here, go back up and break the top, which means a second flat in this impulse, in this move going up. We'll go for the buy, and then we'll go for the sell. If it's a running flat, that'd be perfect. The reason you go for the buy is, what if it does this? We'll go for the buy, and we'll manage the trade, right? We understand how it could develop. We understand all the possibilities, and then it'll be an easy one. It's consolidating. That's a buy setup. Vamos. We're breaking the top again, which is something we expected, but then we're not buying into this piece. We spoke about that just last week because it's consolidating quite a lot. And every time they break the top, they come back down really fast. If you start from this point, you will see we broke the top, we came down. 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 You shouldn't buy in something like that. At least not from a break of the top. You buy from the bottom if you want. So this broke the top. I don't think we're going very far. This is what we have. This is the whole structure. Let me just show you. That's the whole structure. And this is what it looks like at the top here. See that piece there? You wait for that to drop. You don't buy at the top of a structure like that. You wait for it to drop. So now that it has broken the top, good for all of us. You notice I have my arrow from above the top, which means we wanted to break the top, but we're not buying it. We're waiting for a sell setup. Do we have a sell setup? Not as yet. Wait for the sell setup. Let it go. It could go higher. They could spike it. But you don't know if they're going to spike it, and you don't know how far it will spike. So we wait for the sell setup. You're not buying into that structure there. It's useless. Pound Swiss. Okay, we expect some more upside, and then from that point, we'll see what happens. There's a buy setup still. It may or may not break out of this structure because remember, look at this one. It spiked up, but then they came down. So we might be making a big running flat here. We did break the top, by the way. We broke the top. So is that enough for the upside? Are we literally coming down back? Let's see something. I would say so, yet it's too early to say that. So what we would look for here is the possibilities they can still make one more up. See this bigger flat here? And then they still make a sharp move before they come down. I wouldn't be surprised if this makes a sharp impulse here and then come down. We can still go for the buy. Unless this drop lower than this level and make a correction, then we'll assume this is the top, right? If it drops lower, make a correction, reverse the last impulse, make a correction, we'll sell it. But for now, we'll make the assumption that they can go one more up. Pound New Zealand. This one is consolidating for downside, and I do think we're going to get a new low, which means I do think this eventually drops here. And from this point, we'll either go back up or we'll break through the entire structure. That's the daily structure. So let me just show you that very quick. This is what we're looking at. And what we're expecting is that this consolidation here will come down to this level. And from this point here, that's this structure. We either drop through that structure and come back all the way here, or they go make a new high. Stay within this structure. The only question is which of those two will happen. You don't need to know that right now. Eventually we'll see it, but you don't need to know that right now. What you need to do is look for a sell setup here. Let's see if we have a sell setup. We don't. We don't have a sell setup as yet, but we're looking for that sell setup. We've got this flat here. Any sell setup we get, we'll take the trade. Aussie, New Zealand, it's going down. That was a sell last week, and I said if you sell it, you have to stay with it for a very, very, very long time. If you sold that, see what happens. It's probably going to go down some more, but it's useless. It moves too slow. So stay away from that. Aussie, Swiss. Okay, we're already going down, so if we get a flag, we can sell. Take this off. This was last week. We thought they'll make a small flag here. They actually made a deep correction. So if you get a flag here, we go for the sell. See this one here? If you get a flag like that here, you go for the sell. Let's go to the New Zealand, Swiss. Same thing. It's going up. Take that. That was a break-even trade. It's going up, but it's not going up the way we expect it to go up, right? We expect this to be very sharp. Instead, it looks like they're going to drop here again, right? This one, remember last week, that didn't go up the way we wanted. It's a drop. This is not going up the way we wanted. It's going to drop. Can they do that a number of times and then go? Absolutely. This structure will go up. See? The bigger structure is pretty similar to the Aussies, the Euro Swiss one, right? So we're coming down and this is going to be a drop, but it's just going to drop to tag the low. We might break this low once more. Do we have a sell setup? Not as yet. It actually looks like they might go one more up. See this? That's a buy setup. Put an entry for a buy here. Now, this may not go very far. See, this one was correcting. It didn't go very far. I don't think this is going to go very far. But take the buy and then we'll see how high they go. What if they come back at least to the top? Right? Can it work itself back to the top like this and then drop? I think that's possible. There's a very rare chance that this takes off. That is really rare because it's correcting way up. It's not going the impulse we expect it to go. Okay, the Chinese yuan, it's going sideways. Wait for now. If you bought that when you got out for break even, let's just give this some time to consolidate and then we'll decide. It's making a bigger correction, that's all. You don't have any setup in it, not for the buy, not for the sell. Not as yet. Okay, so copper went up. That is totally expected. This one here totally expected to break the top. This was the trade. If you wanted it, it broke the top. Now that we've broken the top, we've got a complete pattern, right? So last week, if you were with me, you would hear me say, let it go break the top. We look for the buy because we want a bigger flat here. See? Nothing new because we saw this. So this was the buy to break the top. We broke the top. Take this off and take this off. How high is it going to go? So when you want to know how high it's going to, you look at a bigger structure. No, not very high. It's actually a flat for downside, right? We're making an assumption that this is the first impulse down. This is a big flat. So this eventually goes down one more. Can it be the big move to the downside or just one more and then they go back up? Well, that depends a lot on how high this goes. It could be just one more and they continue to go up. But that will depend a lot on what this piece does. If this piece climbs it way up, climb to this level and then do this, we're absolutely going up. If they just stop and drop, it could go very deep. So what do? Let's come to the 1 hour. And if you get buy setups, you can take it. But you'll have to be very, very cautious as you come to this top. Right? If you get a flag for a buy ticket, they can go all the way back to the top. If it's a flat in the making, they will go all the way back to the top. If we were just making a correction here to drop, you wouldn't get much of a flat. It wouldn't go up very high, and then it's going to start to drop. So if you get a flag here and you buy the flag, let's say you get a flag like this, and you buy it, it does that, put it to break even because it can do this, or it can do that. So the idea is you think it's going to go higher. You still buy it until you see the turning point. We don't have a turning point, is it? UK oil, we're making a new high because we have finally got the running flat we were looking for. See, perfect. Last week we told you about it. It's a running flat. We expect this to break the top. Even if it is going to go down eventually, it has to break the top first. How high they go after they break the top? Well, that's anybody's guess. As long as it breaks the top, we're okay. That qualifies it for downside. So what are we doing? We made an impulse. We made an impulse. These are buy setups you're looking at. This is a break-even buy setup, which means you got out of that trade already. Right? It's not going. If you're still in the trade and it pulls back, close it. So for me, can this make a deeper correction then go? Absolutely. Right? It can make a very big correction in the middle like this. See that correction there? And then drop. We can start to do something like this here and then go up. So let's see. Can we sell it if it's going to do that? Absolutely. We just have to wait for this to make a flag. Give us a flag here and we'll sell. Flag will sell. Flag will sell. Eventually you'll do something like this, and then go. We'll get a bigger flat here because we'll make a correction to this impulse. This will be a single impulse up. This here is a single impulse up. We'll start to make a big correction here and then we're going to go. So we can sell it, we can buy it, we can sell it, and we can go. You have to be careful that any of those trades are very, very short term. Any trade you take now that within that range, which is we'll probably stay here the whole week, is going to be short term sells, short term buys. And you better have the skill level to manage it. If you don't trade it. Same for US oil. Natural gas going up. Wait for flags, wait for correction. They're making another flag or correction there. That's a buy setup. US 30. Did we break the top? That was a buy setup to break this top. I think we might have broken the top. Let's see. We did. So now that the top is broken, that could be a point of reversal. They could reverse from that point. Or, and remember this was the line we had here. Or they could make a bigger flat here and continue to go. So if you get a bigger flat here forming, they start to go back up, do this, start to get something like that, that becomes a buy setup. What if it is going to drop from this point, right? What would be the sell setup? Let it drop, let it make a flag here, and then you sell. That would be the sell setup. Not a big flag like that. I just draw it big enough for you to see. My traders will tell you if we get a nice 15 minutes flag, we'll sell it. And we will be aware of this. Probably you let it break first, then make the flag and then go for the sell. DAX is going to continue to go up. Take this off. This was the buy. We had a buy here. We get a buy there. If it makes a flag here, buy DAX has more. We haven't broken it up. So DAX will continue to go up. You just allow it to make a flat here and then we'll get a buy setup on it. Right? It needs to make a flat here and then one more buy to the upside, break the top, and only then we can look for the sell setup. It's still in an uptrend and we will break the top. So when we break the top, if you don't want to buy, let it break the top and then you start looking for sell setups. How high is it going to go before we get the sell? That's anybody's guess. Right? It could go to the 270, it could go much higher. And then we'll look for the sell. If you want to buy it, if you get a very nice flat here, it will be a good buy. S&P 500 broke the top. Expected. We've got a perfect running flat. Actually, two running flats. You have one inside of one. That was a perfect. This was a buy setup here. You probably get another buy setup. If you get a flag buy. But now you have to be careful because now you broke the top, right? We're making new highs. And every time you make new highs, the tendency is you're going to correct. We still have divergence and we have a lot of it on all time frame. So what I would say is as you're making the new high, you take the buys, take the profit off. Now, if you remember before that big drop, I was warning traders, you made a new high. Every trade you take after that should be your very last trade because it's going to drop really short. I can guarantee you there were about 10 more flags that made an impulse to the upside after I said it. You go back to the first time I said we broke the top, now you have to be careful. There were about 10 flags more that went up, which in average took about a month. So for 1 month, I was warning you, every impulse you take now might be the last one, take your profit off. And I can tell you from the experience of my group, Some traders listened to me and they took it off, and some traders just keep adding trades to the upside and making more money and more money, and they're compounding the profit because they didn't put those trades to break even. They didn't put stops on them. They just, the fear of putting the stop is that it will come and spike you because they do that. When they're making those small impulses, the correction is deep. That is a sign they're turning, but we had traders who just kept them. And this single drop almost wiped them out. All they had to do was move their stops or take profit. The stop would be useless because they'll pass through the stop when they start to drop, right? But literally take profit. Those traders would have been, I'm telling you, but hundreds of thousands of dollars that they gave back. They made it. They didn't lose their account. They made a lot of profit even after they closed the trades. But the idea is that once you break the top, it could turn anytime. And by any time means a month from now. Maybe this thing keeps making flag and going up. You can buy it. If it makes a flag, buy. This was a buy setup. This could be a buy setup. Just wait for a flag buy, but take off the profit. Don't keep it with you. You keep the trade, you'll get trouble. Sometimes your stops will not hold if it drops really sharp. Same here. All those were buy setups. We're probably going to have a buy setup here again today. Take your profit. Now that you've broken the top, take off the profit. See? All those are buy setups, but now you've got to take your profit. Don't keep it because you broke the top, and that means that anytime this thing could start to drop. See? We do have divergence. Go back to this top, which is this one or that one, which is here, and you see the divergence. Take your profit. You can keep buying, but take the profit. Right? Don't try to keep those for longer term trades. You'll get yourself in trouble. So I still think there's one more, two more, or more up. Keep buying, take out the profit. Okay, this one broke the top. If you took that trade, you bail out on it. And now that you've broken the top, two things you're going to look for: reversal, total reversal, right? Which means totally we go down, or we just continue to go up. So see, a lot of divergence here. This thing could totally fall. If it is going to fall totally, we want the trade. But could it be they just make a flat and continue to go up? Well, good for all of us. If this just makes a flat here and continue to go up, you take that trade, you take the profit once it starts to consolidate. You take the trade, you take the profit once it starts to consolidate. Once it reverses any of those moves and make flag, we sell. So from now, any flag we get for a sell, we will take it. Which means if this stop here, I don't want it to stop there, I want it to come like this, make a flag here, we sell. If they make a consolidation at the top there, you can buy it. That's one impulse, take profit. Nifty, it's going up, it's going to break the top, take the trade, move your stops, see how far it goes and take profit. We have divergence. Tesla is correcting here, still in the correction, deep correction, so it wouldn't be going anytime soon. See, this is the impulse, that is a move up, this is a move down, this is a more corrective one. They will have to come down back, they'll have to go back up, and then you'll probably come down here again. So this is what I see as the simplest possible pattern that could form. It can be much more complex than that. So you can either don't trade it in the mess, as some people like to call it, or trade very short term and take the profit off. Both directions. Amazon, definitely upside. See, this was a buy setup. The reason we looked at this, and remember this pattern, how complex it was, we draw it, we figure it out, it worked, it's going up, you're in an uptrend. You just keep trading until you figure out that, you know what, this uptrend is going to change very soon. Right now it's going up. I don't think this is the one that's going to take off like a rocket. Be careful, right? It could, if this starts to get very complex in here, if it starts to make a big correction, we're going to make a bigger flat here and go. If they keep going, take the trades. Right, so if you see a small flag, you take the trade, it doesn't go, get out for break even, see what happens. Right, because we're either going to make a bigger flat here, or we're totally going up, and this is all the correction. Okay, this one is going up. You can move that one now and put an entry above this here. That will just be a single move up, take profit. Reliance, more downside. You can look for sell setups. I think we'll come back, break these lows. I'll definitely go and break these lows, and then we'll see what happens from that point. And PayPal. Be careful we break the top. So I'm anticipating that this is going to be a running flat, which means we could go a little higher, right? We looked at this and we said, this is coming up at least at this level. It went a little higher. It's still going a little higher. We'll look for running flat and then upside. So every trade you take from the top there buying, you'll have to be very careful of it. Because you're going to get another down move and then you're going to continue to go. So let's see. If you get a buy setup here and you take it, it can go higher. But then you'll have to be very, very careful once you get to the top. Bitcoin. The magic works. So if you bought this one, it came back to the top. Let me show you the structure we're looking at. Those lines were drawn last week, and I said I'll keep them there so you can see how it works. Bingo, we've got one down. One is ready. This one is ready. It's at the top there, right? So from that point, somewhere there, I'm expecting it to come back down. So I'm looking at this as 1, 2, 3. Within this bigger structure, we had this. We had 1, 2, 3. We got to move down. We got a 1, 2, 3. We need a move down. Then we need a move up. And then we need a move down. So one part complete. Let's leave this as it is. We'll see if the others complete themselves. Now, that doesn't mean this can't go a little higher, right? It will just make a different structure. Maybe this becomes the biggest B part in it. We'll see about that. But this was your buy setup here. You don't have any buy setup. You can actually look for a sell setup here. If you get a flag here, this is a perfect sell setup. If this becomes a flag here, that there becomes a very good sell setup. How is it going to go down? Is it going to go fast? Is it going to go slow? Is it going to go like, see that sell setup at the top there? See that one there? It's still there for you to come and break the low. Well, we're expecting it to come and break this low as well within this structure. See? So yes, we're coming back to the low. Move this up a little. These lines are not, now they're coming back to the lines. These lines are just giving us sense of the pattern, right? They can break it, they can don't break it. We're just using these lines as sense of what the pattern should look like. So from this point, we start to look for sell setup. If this turned out to make a very big flat here, instead of a flag, they make a big flat here, yeah, you'll probably get one more up. Can we break this top and then go down? Absolutely. But the move is downside, right? This is a correction for downside. So we're likely going to go down, not up. And XRP is pretty much the same thing. See? As a matter of fact, XRP can go higher. It needs to come and break this top. Right? We're looking forward to this going and break that top before it goes back up. Maybe even make a little correction here and then go break the top and then come back up. So can Bitcoin go up a little more? Possible. Can this thing drop from this level? That would be contracting flat. I don't like contracting flats. I don't know. I was telling my traders just keep buying this one. How far would it go? Well, that's assuming that this is 1, this is 2, and we're making a 3 here. It could be much more complex than that. And that is assuming this is the pattern, which means we should get a flat somewhere in here, and then we should make another impulse up. Right now it's buy setup. If you get buy setup, continue buying. I think this one was easy. You had a buy setup here. That was very crystal clear. Can it go higher? Yep, I think they can go higher. The move we're looking for is this one. That is the move we're looking for. So can it go higher? Yep, it can. Can it actually drop before they go higher? Can they make a new low? Can this thing just stop here and make a new low and then go? That is also possible. We'll still be in this trade going up. That trend, that lower P wave structure. But if that is over, we're coming back to the top here, which means we don't have to break the top because we already broke the low. But if you get buy setups, take it. Does that mean that this go up, that Bitcoin is going to go up? No, not necessarily. Somebody asked me that question on YouTube. If Bitcoin goes, that everything follow Bitcoins? Not true. They tend to move in the same direction, but they don't follow Bitcoin. And if you go back and you take the charts and you put them layer on top of each other, you would see that they don't follow Bitcoin. Some of them may be going the opposite direction at some point in time. That's an easy question to answer. I don't know why traders get confused with things like this. Here's what you do. You put one chart and then you go here and you put another chart on top of it. Just put Bitcoin on top of this one. Let me see. BTC. USD, is the USD in front, USD. Let's go with this one. And you'll see. So they tend to move similar, but they don't actually move. Look at this sharp move here. See that sharp move in there? We didn't have anything on Bitcoin for that. Right? So if you go back, the more you go back and you check, you'll see they literally don't follow each other. They tend to move in the same direction. Look at this one. You see the top of this one coming down? Look at this. See this one coming down here and you see this coming down? We never broke that top on Bitcoin. Look at this move up. Bitcoin never even broke the top. Bitcoin made a flattened drop. This one actually made a new high. Look at this drop from there to the bottom. Bitcoin just made a small one and went sideways. So they don't definitely move the same way. They don't never move exact movement, but they kind of move in similar patterns, right? You know, it's there. The patterns are always there to move, but they're not going to be the same thing. And not every time they're going to move in the same direction. These are easy things to do. If you're a trader, you should be able to do this basic stuff. Right? These are not complex things to answer that question. I was like, just put two charts on top of each other and see if they do the same thing. You'll see, you know, it's easy to do. And that's the thing we do in our group. We teach you how to analyze charts. We teach you how to do all of this stuff. So, you know, you don't get confused in asking the question and then you go to the internet and you sort for 2 years in the internet. You spend searching to look for correlation and all those stuff that you can simply put a chart on top of the other and the question is answered. ETH, let's go. Any news upside? All the trades we're calling, but this one you have to be careful. This could be a bigger flat for a new low, right? We spoke about that. Told my traders, be careful when this comes to the top here. This could be a 1, 2, 3, come back here and then go back up. This could also go to the top there. So as every flag you get now when you buy, be careful if you get a sell setup, take it. Same for Dash. All of them are going up, right? So this one actually made the up move. So this looks downside. This piece here looks like 1, 2, you get a 3, you probably come back here, you probably go back there and you drop. This doesn't look upside. If this move spike is correct, this could go down rather than up. So be careful. This one could start dropping, then go back up, then come down, then go back up. So we're like kind of going sideways. This is the biggest flat in it so far. LRC, upside. I think this one is clear. It's more upside. This might not be the flat we're looking for. There might be a flat that would be like this. Take this off. Take this off. We didn't break the low, so if they go back up from here, if it goes back up from here, then we'll have a more complex pattern because this would be a flat of its own. We'll come back here, we'll go back there, make another flat here, and come down here and then go back up. So it's going to be more complex than you think. But if you get buy setup, take it. Same here. This will go up a little more because you're expecting it to come and at least break this top. So there's more upside there. There's probably more upside in this one. If this is starting the up move, we don't know whether it is starting up. This one could still come down from this point. Right? This could still come down here. Break this low again. And then we'll go with 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Before we come down. So this one you'd have to be careful. It's slightly different. LTC, upside. This was the buy. You had another buy here, and you might get another buy to break this top. They don't have to break the top, by the way. So if you're looking at this flat individually separate from the bigger structure, they don't have to break the top. Right? So if this becomes a running flat in here, we come back down like this. We'll have to go back up for this one and then drop again. So it can become complex. This is your big move down. And ADA. Yeah, you can see the upside. I think it's clear, right? Now, the only question you would have is whether they're coming for this top, make that flat, and then come down back here and then go back up there and then come down back and go back up and then drop. Or whether we're going for this one. If we look at this is a 1, 1, 2, 3. We finish the move here with this one, contracting flat, and then this just go back to the top and come down. So every buy setup you get, you can take the trade, but you have to be careful until this pattern proves it's a flat or it's this bigger one proves itself. Both of those are possible right now. When it comes to this top, they'll tell us which one. Right when you get to that top. So there's more buy setup there. Pretty simple. Not complicated. Let me see ETH again. Yep, it's going up. Just like we thought. So we'll watch it from this level here. When they come here, we'll watch it to see if they come back here and then go. Right, those are the two possibilities. So, okay, guys, thank you very much for all the YouTubers. If you managed to watch to the end, you learned something, I hope. And if you do, then share the video with somebody else. Find another trader, give him, tell him to watch it. Maybe he'll learn something. Take care. Have a good trading week ahead of you. My traders, I will stop the recording and I'll see you in the trading room immediately. If you're watching the live session, move over to the trading room.